Hi everyone, Daisy here with another album kind of flip through share, and I actually found I think this might be my first ever album when I actually started scrapbooking. So I had done kind of a scrapbook for my husband as a present when we first were married because we couldn't really afford presents, but I didn't actually start scrapbooking then. It was something that my friend helped me put together. So this is my first album, I believe, from when I started kind of scrapbooking. So I thought I would flip through it, and yeah, you can. It's gonna be interesting. I'm not gonna lie. So, ooh, you can see the Scotch tape here holding this together. So the first, this is not in order though. This is not like the first layout I ever did, but this first one is of my older daughter's birth photos or whatever, so I'm not gonna like hold them up too much or worry about the glare. I included her card, so I created these little like photo pockets for them. It's got the little like slits in the paper to hold the cards in, and then her footprints are in here, so it has all of her information and pictures of family and everything. It's just like two pieces of paper taped together, literally taped together, and then I have a ribbon across here, some pink vellum, and her name. Yeah, this one fell apart actually because this was actually over here, so glue works really well, and I was playing with glitter. I had some flocked kind of paper here, and yep, just a cute photo of my husband sleeping with her. Some beautiful gems and more ribbon. Big into using ribbon. This is like it was a tape runner that was like a rub-on kind of, yeah. And then I hand cut these letters and colored them myself, if you couldn't tell that. Next up, I figured out that I could sew on layouts, so I sewed all of these seed beads down to create this kind of button flower, and then around this heart here, back when I was still journaling or trying to journal on layouts. Just a photo of, you know, my son and daughter together. And then I had gotten a book of these vellum kind of sayings, so those will pop up a bit here. Again, more seed bead sewing, and then just taping paper together, really. And horrible photo quality. Horrible. I think I printed them on like a home printer on regular printer paper, or maybe this is like the really thin photo paper, so yeah. On this one, more of that flocked paper, I did some stamping in the Versamark ink, because it can be a watermark kind of ink as well. I cut out this out of one of those vellum title things. It looks like apparently I had tried to do it in white and it didn't turn out right, so a little crown and just some little photos of her. She was, so this is about her being a princess, because she had like the biggest attitude when she was young, and you can tell from like even that picture and all of these, like, yeah, she has always been such a ham and takes a lot of pictures and posed for them, and even when she was a baby. Here's her again with some lovely brown. I don't know what I was thinking there, but this was one of my all-time favorite papers. I have no idea what it is, but it had, on one side it had like neon pink dandelions, and then it's like this kind of goldish copper color, and yeah, I like hoarded that for a long time. Like I might have used my last little piece of it a couple years ago. But again, papers, I couldn't even tell you where these papers came from. They're like super thin and probably a paper pack, I would imagine. I think I hand cut this butterfly and some flowers. So a lot of these were influenced by scrapbook.com. They used to have like an amazing community there, which I suppose Facebook took over. But they used to have all these challenges, and like you would sign up and do these different challenges that were like issued to you or whatever. Sorry, I needed a little drink there. And yeah, so that's kind of how I evolved my scrapbooking style, was by doing those challenges and seeing what I liked and didn't like. So this one is actually a shaped layout. So I had gotten a stencil and traced it and then cut it out and just created this layout. I used a banner with some brads and some buttons and flowers, more ribbon. And yeah, we had gone to take her photos, or maybe family photos, but anyhow, it was cold because she was born in December, and this was around the time like she was going to be a year old. And yeah, her hair was horrible, standing straight up. So this is still one of my favorite layouts. Sorry. And surprisingly enough, like, I was really devastated because other people didn't like it as much as I did at the time. So I had created these little flowers using pattern paper, and then this is from I'm pretty sure Die Cuts with a View paper pack, and I tore it up and I ruffled it up, and then I cut strips and ruffled them to make them look like waves. I drew this dragonfly. This is like a cutout somebody had sent me, and then I fussy cut this out of a piece of paper. And I still really love this layout. And actually, I'm going to be doing a scrap lift soon of a vintage layout, so maybe I'll do this one. I don't know. We'll see. Next up, yep, more glue issues here. So, I had done a photo shoot of the kids for Father's Day one year, and she was holding a basketball, and I think my son, I did with him holding a baseball bat maybe, or something. I'm sure it will come up. It's probably like on the next page. Let me just glue this down here. I did some stamping. Maybe. Nope, that's stencil, I'm pretty sure. And tearing, paper tearing. So I made one of the paper tear kind of flowers and everything, and more journaling. And I wrote this off and then tore the edges around it, so I tore some of the stuff. But you can tell, like, it's yellowing and everything. Okay, so this is when I thought I would try out 2-page layouts, and I mean, I had the one before of the birth, but yeah, I thought I was supposed to do 2-page layouts because everybody did, so I decided to try it, and I don't like them, but you will see a few. So this was kind of my way of doing it. Like, I would gut this paper to put in the center of this paper, and gut this paper, put in the center of this paper to make them cohesive. And then, yeah, I just did, the photos and the title with some ribbon, and I cut out of a photo these little cupcakes to use as embellishments because I had made these cupcakes, and so, yeah, we used them as embellishments, and then just the pictures of who was at her 4th birthday party. And you can see, like, how thin this paper is. I mean, man. Okay, so this one, I decided to try a fun technique. So I had gotten a new sewing machine, and it has a flower stitch, and so I did the stitching on here without any thread. So I went around kind of a border, so it poked all the holes. And I mean, it gives it some cool texture and everything. I would never do it now, but it was a fun thing for me to try. I did a little frame around here with brads, and then more brads. Hand cut the title, and buttons, because I had lots of buttons. This is another one of my favorites, and it has the rickrack ribbon. This one is like velvety, and then created my own flowers. That was my big thing, is I couldn't afford to buy all the stuff everybody had, and so everything I had was that what I found on clearance at places or people had given me, and so I tried to recreate kind of my own embellishments and things to fit in here. I hand cut out this title. This is a rub-on, and just a fun layout with, again, some poorly printed photos. But I love that photo of her. Like, she's so beautiful. One of my youngest and her first eating, or cereal, I guess. And again, cut out my own title, and you can see the glue. Instead of using wet glue, I used a tape runner. Yeah, not really thinking there, huh? And then buttons and just blocks of paper. And then I think this is, yeah, so I had decided to use both sides of the same sheet of paper. Again, not something I would do now, but it was fine then. So rounding corners was a big thing, so I wanted to try that. Don't like it. This is a stencil, and then just the journaling on these pages, or on these paper strips here, and then I did sewing with my sewing machine. This one, I had gotten some stickles, and so I wanted to use those, so I created my own little border here. And then the butterfly has a little flight trail. And I also asked my mom to crochet me some little flowers, so she did, and I put them on this page as well. I hate the color of this layout. I love this paper. It's basic gray. I had gotten a paper pack, and I was trying to use it sparingly, but I really love it. I'm so sad they went out of business, or out of the paper business anyhow. Yeah, I don't know what this is. So playing around with, you know, making things out of focus or whatever, and then I think this is some stamps. Oops, sorry, you can't see. Some stamps up there, and then some stamps down here, and a title. I ran out of bees, so I just drew my own in. And then I made my own rolled flowers over here. And this paper I got was embossed, and then I just kind of rubbed some ink over it. So yeah, it is really shocking to see some of these layouts, I'm not gonna lie. I still love this layout. I love the colors of it, and the layout of it is fine. I hate the green. I don't know why I kept using green, but yeah. So a cute picture of my daughter, put buttons around her as a frame. She's taking a bite of Subway, so I thought Subway Eat Fresh would be a cute title. And then just the layers, but I really love the color, and I used tissue paper for the first time on this layout. Next up here we have another one I used tissue paper on, and I tried to ink it to give it some more dimension. Just a picture of me and my kiddos. Oh, I apparently distressed my photo too, which you can see. It's got like scratches on it, so that's interesting. Created my own little flowers here, and then I just took the stamp pad and put it directly down to go behind the flowers. I don't know why. And this was a lot of fun, and I felt like it was, I don't know, innovative at the time, not anymore, but so I cut out all these bubbles, and then I inked around the edges of them in different colors to make them look like bubbles, because you know how bubbles are kind of like iridescent. So I added a bunch of different colors, and then I took this piece of paper and a hole punch, and I just punched all the way around it, and again mimicking the bubbles that are in the photo. I thought that was fun. This is still one of my favorite layouts. Love this layout. Of course, it's rainbow, so why not? So these I think were my first ever like enamel dots, which they weren't called that. Candy dots or something like that. Layering up some fussy cut flowers over some regular flowers. I used the, whatchamacallit, tissue paper there. I used some embossed paper behind it, and it was just a fun layout. Like, I did a lot of layouts like this because I was supposed to, right? Because I was supposed to be documenting these important things in my kids' lives. Well, they're sitting in a bucket. I mean, it's not important. So this was just a fun one. And I found that the ones that I did that were just for fun, just for me, not necessarily for anything, or even if it was for something, but it wasn't like documenting a specific moment or a specific event, I really, really enjoyed those a lot. Here's another one that I really like. I wonder where the photo went for this. Anyhow, I did a lot of stitching on it, which is still something I enjoy doing. I did some hand stitching as well. Actually, this might be hand stitching too, I'm not sure. Used some of my favorite thickers. These are Peacock. I had some grunge board, and so I painted that. And yeah, just some fun techniques and papers that I really like. So I don't know what happened to the photo on this one. It's really weird, but maybe I took it and re-scrapped it. But anyway, I used some fibers on here. It's about the same, I think the same trip. Like we went on a long walk and explored a bunch of areas and everything in our town. So again, using the stencil I had and just cutting it out. This one I really, really loved. This was another one that I loved that I was disappointed other people didn't. And so I used, this is actually fabric, and I had been making pajamas and trying to quilt, and so I used some of the fabric squares I had left over and sewed on top of it with my sewing machine. I didn't like the color of these letter stickers, so I colored them, added some little sequins down here, and then I love this font, and I still have some of these stickers left. Like, that's just crazy to me. But yeah, so it's a lot of, oh, there's like a mosquito, dead mosquito in there. A lot of stuff going on here, a lot of layers. These evidence cards I thought were really cool. I sewed on my picture. This one I did, it's not like sewed down, it's just I poked a hole in the corner and then kind of made it my own frame around that, and I used one of these clips, and it's just, you know, a fun layout. And this was a layout that, so I was trying like mixed media. All I had was ink pads, so I crumpled it up and then dabbed it in the ink all over and rubbed the ink on it, and then I flattened it back out. I used some, like one of those rub-on rollers to go as a frame around my photo. Apparently frames were my big thing. And then I had figured out that I could use wingdings off of my computer and print them out and use them as embellishments. So that's what I did with these cute little pumpkins. I colored them in using crayons even, it looks like. This is more of that gorgeous gold paper. Just a lot of photos on this one. And I don't mind this one. I don't hate it. So I sprayed some mist in the background too. It was Tattered Angels, like copper or something like that. Probably still have some of that too. Oh, here's the other side of that paper. I had no idea how to use this side, but oh, love it. All right, now this one kind of goes back to that things I have to create. So I fussy cut out some things from pattern paper. This is die cuts with a view, like all of this pattern paper is. Used some ribbon and created my own little bow, and then created my own little flowers there. They're actually little hearts that I fussy cut out, and then I poked a hole in the tip of the heart and created my own flowers with it. I love this layout. So I printed out my journaling, or no, I didn't. Nope, that's my handwriting. Interesting. It looks like I penciled it and then I copied over it. So anyway, I titled it Deck in the Halls, which this is something I also cut out myself. I fussy cut out this little string of lights and put some glitter on the red lights, and then I took the photos and I turned them in black and white, and then I printed another copy of the photo and just cut out the red lights out of the background. I also cut out like my son here and popped him up on some foam. This is fun foam. I've been using this for years, since I started scrapbooking, because I couldn't afford the actual foam. I would never tell anybody back then that that's what I was using, because, you know, it wasn't the cool foam squares, but I couldn't afford it. So I have one of my youngest daughter. Again, I fussy cut out the red lights. My son, and then my older daughter. And then I hadn't printed a second copy of this photo, so I didn't do the 3D effect on that, but I really love how this layout looks, and I might actually do this 3D kind of effect again, because it looks really, really cool. So this one is of my son. He was in like a school play or something and was Rudolph. So this is, I printed it out on printer paper and then cut it out for my title, and there's actually journaling under here, so if I ever took it out of the thing, you can flip it up and read the journaling. But die cuts with the view paper, because I got a paper pack. So this is another fun one, just playing with layering. I did this little stitching. I don't know if you can see it really well, but these little snowflakes have seed beads on them, and I stitched them around and then made my own title there. This is where I start playing with doing like scenes. So it's a snow tubing hill. I like this. I wish I would have continued this down here and did like half the page in this, but I did some white little dots in the background here to create the snow effect. Who knows why I put that orange thing there. And then I printed out my title and did little pearls at the beginning of each sentence. Oh, Little Drummer Girl. So this one, I have glued these suckers on here, I don't know how many times. These are those tall glitter chipboard, and they always end up down here. Like, I'm surprised they're still on here. But playing around with my sewing machine and pink thread with a red layout. Not really sure why, but yeah, it's just a funny layout about my daughter playing the rock band game. She loved to do the drums because it was the only thing she really could do. So this actually I didn't make. Somebody made this for me. So pretty, huh? Oh, they made this one for me too. So this is what I thought scrapbooking was supposed to be. Like, I was supposed to do this. So then when I would do something like this and I loved it and nobody else did, like, I felt bad, because like this one is about music. I think the prompt was to scrap something that is not a person. So I wrote a bunch of journaling about how I love music and what kind of music I like, and created these little flowers out of this music paper, and then just kind of did a monochrome kind of layout. So teared in the corners. Look at that, Christy, huh? Look at that. Yep. This was made in probably 2010, 2011, like when I first started, I would guess. All right, so here's another one. I know this was for some challenge on scrapbook.com because inspiration was a big thing the year I was making all these scrapbook pages. So, I mean, obviously my kids are why I scrap. So, and this is one of my favorite photos. We actually recreate this every Christmas, laying on a snowflake blanket, because obviously we don't have this toy anymore. But yeah, we get their picture with their heads together like that, and we try to recreate the like Claire holding their hand over her mouth thing, but we can't always remember what the actual photo is, so we just kind of have them with their heads together. This one I love too, using a lot of flowers. Look, pinwheel. Another pinwheel, and like layering up to make kind of my own little flowers there. This is when I got some ink, so I sprayed some mist in the background. Yeah, this is crepe paper, more crepe paper. It's talking about freedom, because we were living in an upstairs 2-bedroom apartment with 3 small children, and then at the end of our lease we were able to find a like old farmhouse, a 5-bedroom, and it was amazing with a yard. Yeah, so this is one of my first scrapbook layouts. I would think maybe my second or third, and not including that first one that I made for my husband. It was about my grandma. She died right before my youngest daughter was born. Youngest daughter? No, my oldest daughter was born like 2 days before. So I always, she's my grandma, so I love her. So I wanted to scrap photos of her, and so I got a bunch of them together. These are not, well, this one and this one might be taped down, but these two are not, because these are the originals. Because at the time I made this, I didn't have the ability to make copies of photos and print them. And so these are just kind of held down with these strips of paper. Over here I made my own photo corners to hold. This is from her obituary, or not obituary, the little thing you get when you go to the funeral, like the little card. And then she had written me a letter and sent me a bunch of stuff, and so I tuck that back there too. This is another one I was playing with, some mixed media here. I actually painted this whole strip of paper because it's actually this color. So used some gems and some fun bows. Those were super fun. I found those at the dollar store, I'm pretty sure. This one, created my own flower here with some tissue paper. This is a stencil, and I just actually stenciled. So yeah, I really like this layout a lot. So it's my daughter and my son dressed up as fairies, because why not? And then I used a bunch of black flowers. And this is kind of when I started realizing I really like using darker backgrounds, which again was not like the popular thing to do. So I was going against the grain at the time. Yeah, I'd be concerned that there's other kids in this, but even if I can't even see who they are because my picture is so pixelated, so I'm not worried about that. My son had done wrestling for one time, and yeah, he did a great job and dropped out shortly after. He's like, nope, I don't want to do that. Did sprinkles on this one. Another one with the mist in the background. And my beautiful, beautiful baby boy with a bunch of blues going across there. I must have gotten a bunch of flowers. I was doing a bunch of swaps, and I must have got a bunch of flowers around this time. Yeah, just pretty frame and cool backing behind my journaling there. This one I tried to do kind of like a vintagey kind of thing and realized it wasn't really for me, but I got this thing on. I had this for a long, long time. Somebody had sent it to me, and like with this hat pin, and I'm like, what the hell am I gonna do with that? So yeah, it went on this layout about my ham of a daughter. So this is another fun one. I really liked this one. I used stickles in between like each of the letters here, and then some of this fiber stuff and some staples. Yeah, and is this on the back of the same paper? No. So another little tearing there, some more of that fiber stuff. I didn't have an S, so I made my own S. Oh, and I listed silly string boy smile fun and crossed them all out and then put you. And then these are excuse me, fabric little flowers here. Don't love this one. I only had these 2 tiny photos of me and my husband, and I think I did a challenge about documenting you and your husband or whatever. So I used these flourishes, which I actually really like, and then these little dark flowers here, and yeah, it's okay. It's not my favorite. And another one of me and my husband. Him licking me, obviously. This is from Sassafras. Oh, I loved them. I was so upset that I couldn't afford to buy more of them before they closed down. I think this paper is Bow Bunny. Yeah, a doily. Nothing too exciting. This one was a fall one with the leaves, and I love the photos. I mean, they're amazing. I did a little stamping back here. And this was the first time she had been exposed to leaves, so it was a fun time. And I actually really like this layout too. Just the stencil thing in the background and the kids in the leaves. She did not like being in the leaves, but you can see she didn't want to be left out. So, and buttons and fun fall colors. Almost done. I think just 2 more. This is another one I really loved, and people didn't like it as much as I did. Not that I scrap for other people. I'm not saying that. Don't think I'm like being that way. I was just, nobody I personally knew scrapbooked, so the only people I could talk to were online, and you know, it was just disappointing when some of your layouts got like 100 likes, and then one that you're super proud of and like really love got 2. You know, it's just a little disappointing. But got one of those big jeweled like butterflies on here, and I just loved the look on her face, so I titled it Serene, and I just added all these flowers, and I really love that flower. Added some of this ribbon. I was super excited about that, and I love this paper. Oh, and I did silver sprinkles in the background. Can't really see it, but this is another one I printed out. And then this is actually a jack-o'-lantern that I left a space in because I didn't want the jack-o'-lantern part. And buttons, 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 more buttons. And this is the last one. So just layering the fun sassafras flowers. I love those. I should just make some of those. I think I could do that. They're fabric. I got lots of fabric, so I love this photo. And then last one for this is this fun one. Again, this is some some corduroy fabric that I was using to create some skirts for my daughters. So I cut out the heart and layered it up. Used a bunch of ribbon, some little pearls up here, and then I stitched like lines underneath my title there. And I love the little clustering I did. Yeah, so that's the end of that. Like I said, I'm pretty sure this is my first, or really close to my first layout, or not layout, but album. A lot of early on layouts here. I'm not gonna, you know, like this sort of thing. And this one, I remember creating them. I remember where I was when I created them. And I'm pretty sure it was 2011. But I'm not, you know, absolutely certain. But yeah. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you like these kind of videos. If you do, please subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be trying to do 1 album flip through a month. I have like 14 albums or something. So yeah, it'll take me a good year. And I also do hauls and layout shares, and obviously process videos and mini albums and all that fun stuff. So please consider subscribing to my channel. You can click down below, and I will see you again next time. Bye!